August 3rd, 1943, late afternoon. A whitewashed tent hospital outside Nicosia, Sicily. The heat is suffocating, thick, unmoving, laced with the sharp stink of antiseptic and sweat. Flies buzz lazily over cots lined in rows, men staring at canvas ceilings, eyes hollow, bodies broken in ways you can't always see. Somewhere a generator coughs and dies. The war feels paused here, suspended, waiting. Then, boots. Hard-soled, fast, angry. You hear them before you see him. Lieutenant General George S. Patton strides into the tent like it's enemy territory, ivory-handled pistols at his hips, polished helmet, eyes blazing with the same restless fire that drove his tanks across North Africa and into Sicily. He is not here to comfort. He is here to inspect. Patton stops at each cot, firing questions like rounds from a .45. "What's wrong with you, soldier? How long have you been here? When are you getting back to the front?" Most men answer quickly, too quickly. Fear does that. Patton nods, moves on. Approval is rare, but survival sometimes feels like it depends on it. Then he reaches Private Charles Cool. Cool doesn't look wounded. No bandages, no blood, just a man sitting upright, trembling, hands clenched in his lap. His eyes don't meet Patton's. Patton stops. "What's the matter with you?" he snaps. Cool swallows. His voice barely carries. "I guess I can't take it, sir." The words hang in the air. A confession, a crack. Patton's face hardens. "You hear that?" he barks to the medical staff. "This man admits he's a coward." The tent goes silent. You can almost feel the heat pressing harder, like the air itself is listening. Patton steps closer. "What's wrong with you?" I get nervous," he stammers. "I can't sleep. I can't—" Patton explodes. "Nervous?" he roars. "What the hell do you mean nervous? You're just a goddamned coward!" And then it happens. His glove comes off. His hand swings. The sound is sharp, wet, final. Cool's head snaps to the side. He nearly falls from the cot. Patton leans in, voice low and venomous. "I ought to shoot you myself. Get this man out of my sight. Send him back to the front." For a moment, no one moves. Then Patton turns and storms out, boots pounding, canvas flaps snapping behind him like gunfire.
Inside the tent, time starts again. A medic rushes to Cool. Someone swears under their breath. Another man stares at his hands, shaking harder now. Outside, the war continues. But something irreversible has just begun. Because this wasn't the first time. A week earlier, on August 10th, another hospital, another soldier, another slap. This time, witnesses. This time, officers will not forget. And somewhere far away, across the Mediterranean, across cables and ciphered messages, word is already moving. George S. Patton has crossed a line. The news reaches Allied headquarters in drips at first. A rumor, an uncomfortable anecdote passed between officers who don't quite know what to do with it. Then the details sharpen. 2 incidents. 2 enlisted men are suffering from what doctors are calling battle fatigue. Both struck, both humiliated, one threatened with execution. By mid-August, the reports land on the desk of General Dwight D. Eisenhower, Supreme Commander of Allied forces in the Mediterranean. Eisenhower reads them alone. You can picture it, a quiet room, maps lining the walls, pins and strings marking a front that is still bleeding its way north. The war is far from won. Sicily has fallen, but Italy looms ahead. Mountains, minefields, fanatical resistance. Eisenhower removes his glasses, rubs his eyes. He knows Patton better than most. He knows the brilliance, the speed, the aggression, the instinct for armored warfare that seems almost supernatural. Patton doesn't just fight battles, he unbalances enemies, terrifies them, breaks them psychologically before the first shell lands. But Eisenhower also knows the danger, the mouth, the temper, the volatility. And now this, striking soldiers, in public, in wartime. It's the kind of scandal that ends careers. In Washington, it would be dynamite. In London, a gift to critics already wary of American generals. In the ranks, poison. Eisenhower knows the rule book. He helped write it. Patton should be relieved, at minimum, possibly court-martialed. So why does Eisenhower hesitate? Because Eisenhower is fighting a different war, not just against Germany, but against time, against politics, against the brutal arithmetic of casualties and momentum. The Allied command structure is fragile. British and American egos are constantly grinding against each other. Montgomery is brilliant but cautious, methodical to the point of paralysis. Bradley is solid, dependable, but untested at the scale this war will soon demand.
And Patton? Patton is a weapon, a dangerous one, unstable, loud, prone to misfire, but devastating when aimed correctly. Eisenhower understands something few others do. This war will not be won by committee. It will be won by men willing to move faster than the enemy can react, men who don't wait for perfect conditions, men who take ground and keep going, men like Patton. Still, the slaps cannot be ignored. Eisenhower drafts a letter, then rewrites it, then sits with it, pen hovering. He is furious, deeply so, but his anger is controlled, measured, burning beneath a calm surface that has become his signature. When he finally writes, the words are brutal. Patton is ordered to apologize, publicly, to the men, to the medical staff, to his command. He is stripped of operational command, and he is warned explicitly that another incident like this will end his career. No ambiguity, no wiggle room. Patton receives the letter like a punch to the gut. For the first time in years, the general who fears nothing feels something close to dread. Patton obeys, reluctantly, stiffly. He stands before units of the 7th Army, helmet under his arm, jaw clenched so tight it looks like it might crack. "I have made a grave mistake," he says, voice flat. "I regret it deeply." The words taste like ash. Some soldiers accept it, others don't. Rumors spread faster than official statements ever could. The slapping incidents become legend, retold, exaggerated, sharpened into something uglier each time. Patton is done, people say. Finished. The press doesn't know yet, but they will. And when they do, it will explode. Eisenhower knows this too, which is why when reporters finally catch wind of the story weeks later, Eisenhower does something extraordinary. He contains it. He leans on editors, appeals to patriotism, to unity, to the idea that certain stories, true stories, can still be dangerous. A quiet agreement forms. For now, Patton's disgrace stays mostly inside the wire. For now. But Eisenhower isn't protecting Patton's reputation. He's protecting his utility. Because even as Patton is sidelined, even as he paces like a caged animal, the war is accelerating towards something far bigger than Sicily, France. And Eisenhower already knows, when that moment comes, he is going to need George S. Patton, even if the world can never know why. Not yet. As Patton stares across the Mediterranean, stripped of command, reputation in tatters, one question hangs over everything. Has Eisenhower just buried his most dangerous general? Or is he saving him for something far more important? December 18th, 1943, Southern England, dawn. A thin frost clings to the hedgerows like ash. The countryside is quiet, too quiet for a nation at war. No artillery, no engines, just the low murmur of wind moving across empty fields. And then you see them. Tanks. Dozens of them. Sherman silhouettes stretching along muddy lanes, supply trucks, fuel depots, pontoon bridges stacked neatly by rivers that no army should be crossing yet. From the air, it looks like the largest invasion force ever assembled. From the ground, it's a lie. The tanks are inflatable, the trucks are plywood, the tire tracks are stamped into the mud by hand. And at the center of it all, standing in the cold, hands on his hips, jaw set like granite, is George S. Patton. Officially, Patton has no command. Unofficially, he is the most valuable decoy in the history of warfare. Eisenhower has buried him in plain sight. The Germans are watching, always watching. Their reconnaissance planes photograph southern England daily. Their intelligence networks, agents, radio intercepts, pattern analysis are desperate to answer one question: where will the Allies land? Calais is the obvious answer, closest point to France, deep water ports, direct road access to Germany. And if Patton is there, then it must be Calais. The Germans know Patton. They fear him. Rommel himself has studied his campaigns in North Africa, his speed, his violence, his refusal to stop once momentum begins. So when German intelligence spots Patton inspecting units in tent, giving fiery speeches, moving restlessly among what appears to be a massive armored force, their conclusion feels obvious. Patton wouldn't be sidelined, not unless something enormous was coming. This phantom army is given a name: 1st U.S. Army Group, FUSAG.
It exists only to be seen. And Patton plays his role perfectly. He brags, he leaks, he lets himself be photographed. Every instinct he has, every reckless, theatrical impulse Eisenhower once feared, is now weaponized. The man who slapped soldiers for showing weakness is now the linchpin of the greatest deception operation in modern history. Operation Fortitude. And the Germans take the bait. June 6, 1944, 6:30 a.m., Normandy, France. The sea is chaos. Waves slam into a steel landing craft. Men vomit, pray, scream. Some are already dead before they touch sand. Machine gun fire rakes the water. Bodies float face down, helmets bobbing like driftwood. This is D-Day, and Patton is not here. As thousands die on Omaha and Utah beaches, German commanders hesitate. Where is Patton? This can't be the main invasion, not without him. Hours pass, days. The Allies hold the beaches, barely. Casualties are horrific. Entire units are shredded. But still, the Germans refuse to commit their armored reserves. Because Patton hasn't moved. Because FUSAG hasn't crossed the Channel. Because somewhere in England, George S. Patton is still waiting. Eisenhower watches casualty reports stack up. He knows the truth. Every hour the Germans delay is another 1,000 Allied lives spared inland. Patton, sidelined and furious, is still winning the war by simply existing. Only on July 1st, nearly a month later, do the Germans finally accept reality. Normandy was the real invasion, and by then, it's too late. August 1st, 1944, Normandy hedgerows. Patton is back. The Third Army is activated. The leash is cut. The engine roars. Patton doesn't crawl forward. He explodes. His columns punch through German lines, swing wide and keep going, day and night, barely stopping to refuel. Towns fall in hours. Entire German units are in circles before they even realize Patton is behind them. French civilians line the roads, cheering, crying, throwing flowers onto tanks streaked with dust and blood. Patton moves so fast that Allied headquarters struggles to track him. Fuel becomes the only thing that can slow him down. By September, Patton's army had advanced farther, faster than any force in modern warfare. German generals are stunned. This is the Patton they feared. And Eisenhower watches it unfold with a mixture of pride and exhaustion. He has gambled everything on this man, and it has paid off. December 1944. Bastogne is surrounded. The Battle of the Bulge has erupted like a thunderclap. German armor smashes through thin American lines. Panic spreads. Eisenhower gathers his commanders. "How long," he asked, "until you can attack north?" Patton doesn't hesitate. 48 hours.
The room goes silent. It should be impossible, but Eisenhower believes him. Patton turns his entire army 90 degrees in the dead of winter, an operational miracle, and slams into the German flank, relieving Bastogne and shattering Hitler's last offensive. Afterward, Eisenhower is asked, quietly, privately, why he protected Patton after Sicily. Why didn't he fire him? Why risk everything on such a volatile man? Eisenhower's answer is simple. Patton is too valuable. Not because he was kind, not because he was easy, but because when the war demanded speed, audacity, and relentless pressure, Patton delivered. George S. Patton will die months later, not in battle, but in a car accident. The war will end without him knowing how close he came to obscurity or disgrace. But history remembers the truth Eisenhower understood in 1943. Some men are dangerous, some are flawed, and some, handled carefully, can change the course of history.